I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing is to approve the agenda. One change in number 7, letter E. Mike would like to pull that up to 6A because he would like to just make some comments on that. So we're going to pull that out of the consent agenda. If there's any other questions or changes or additions to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as modified, changed.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Dave Brujic, second by Sean Ryan to approve the agenda with the noted change. There's no other comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, passes 4-0. Ken, I think it's you, number 1. You look like you got number 1 and 2.
Quick PowerPoint for each one of them here. All right, so the first item is a summary of the discussion from the Planning Commission meeting on August, excuse me, at the August Planning Commission meeting for Variance V5 2018. This is a front setback variance for a attached garage addition that requested a reduction from the typical 30-foot back to 22.5 feet. The applicant is Jerrol Hoffman. They're not here tonight in the audience. And we'll give you a little background. So again, it's basically off the corner side street. So 2nd Street Northeast is actually the street and the property line that they're seeking the variance from. The house faces Lexington Avenue North. This house was built in 1950. That predated any zoning ordinance being in effect when it was built. So the house wasn't placed at the current 30-foot setback from 2nd Street Northeast as the corner side yard, which is required 30 feet. So obviously, they're basically looking at adding a 25-foot by 25-foot addition. That's an extension of the existing attached garage, which is on the north end of that house, adjacent to 2nd Street Northeast. This addition would not extend any closer to 2nd Street Northeast than the existing attached garage. The garage doors would face the alley, which faces to the east, and again, no closer to the existing lot line on 2nd Street Northeast than the existing attached garage.
So are you saying they would come in through the alley to this garage?
For the doors, yes.
Okay.
And this is not showing the map. I pulled it up. I'll try to use this one as best I can, and then I'll jump down to the map. Hopefully it'll show up later in the report here. So this is actually the elevation of the garage. It faces to the alley. So the front of the garage accesses off Lexington, which is the opposite side of the new addition. Then this door faces to the east towards the alley. So basically, 2nd Street Northeast would be on this side of the garage, and this will be all in line with the existing home. You kind of see the existing attached garage here, and they're basically just filling in an area behind the attached garage and home for the addition. They plan to park a boat and some other vehicles in there rather than in the yard. So that is a point that they wanted to make, that they're trying to keep a better aesthetic as well for the neighborhood. We had comments sought at the meeting on August 22nd. We did not get any public comments for this agenda item. And the Planning Commission and staff recommended approval of the variance based on the 6 findings listed in the staff report and which are in your resolution in the packet. So this provides a little better view. So this is 2nd Street Northeast in the foreground. They're basically extending 25-foot back, right in line with the existing attached garage, and then bringing that to the south, kind of squaring off this corner of the home. So that's where the garage addition will go. This is a current attached garage addition on that north side of the property here. So just kind of extending that out. And here's the alley. So as it extends out, the garage doors will face the alley, and that's how they'll access that. So there won't be any new curb cut on 2nd Street. or anything like that. And then finally, this is the view where you'll see the garage doors on that east elevation, accessing from the alley. I was basically standing in the alley taking this photo back at that property there.
So then the roof line is going to be like a V next to a V?
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing to point out, in the neighborhood, we looked at conditions of other homes in the vicinity, and at 22 and a half feet away from 2nd Street Northeast, this existing garage, as you can see it here, at 22 and a half feet is actually further away than the homes in the immediate vicinity. They range anywhere from 3.5 feet to about 20 feet away. So this home is already further away from the property line along 2nd Street Northeast than the other homes in the neighborhood. So from that standpoint, it's not providing any more of a change to the aesthetic than there is today. Just call it up other views. This is actually the home directly to the east, that on the east side of the alley, that is 3.5 feet away from the property line along 2nd Street Northeast. So again, not any more impact than what's going on there today. There's the drawing that was supposed to show up earlier. So you just kind of see how they're squaring off that portion of the attached garage. So you see that's where the driveway is, and then they'll have another driveway off the rear to the alley with those doors facing the alley. So the green line signifies the setback. So again, the only area that we're not meeting yet was between 30 and 22 and a half feet along 2nd Street there, because the home didn't meet that today. That's all I have for the staff report on that one, and as I noted, the 6 findings in the resolution are what the Planning Commission and staff recommend for the approval on the report.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Ken regarding this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the variance.
Okay, I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Sean Ryan, second by Kay Wilcox. Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, passes 4-0.
All right, next item is a summary for the Planning Commission on the variance V6 2018, and this is additionally for a attached garage addition, but this time in relation to the side setback variance from the ordinance required 7 feet back to 5 feet. And the applicant in this item is Emma Schane. So background on this one, so the property owner, she's not present. So the property owner in this case is, as I noted, seeking a side setback variance for a 21.5 foot wide by 40 foot deep attached garage addition. Kind of give you a little bit of a visual. So the gable end of the garage, so the gable kind of the A-shaped, and we're going to know that will actually face the side closest to the lot line where they're seeking the variance, just from an aesthetic purpose. The existing home, as with the other property, and this one was built prior to any zoning ordinance being in effect in the city of New Prague from 1953, and they kind of just placed the home on the lot, and obviously did not think that in the future they would want a 2-car garage, so that is why the variance is being requested here today. So currently the home has no attached or detached garage. You'll note on the air photo when I show this that there's actually plenty of room to add a detached garage in the backyard. Now, the argument the applicant made, in addition to being convenient from just accessing from the home and getting to the property, is also noting that other homes in the vicinity, including an older home located a few lots to the north, was an older home that had an attached garage added on as well, in a similar fashion what they're seeking here. So in terms of fitting the neighborhood, the applicant feels that would fit the neighborhood to do that. And then also noting, as far as building code and fire code specifically, if they maintain that 5-foot setback, they do not have to provide a 1-hour fire rating on that wall. So that's why they're keeping it at that 5 foot and further away. Otherwise, it would substantially increase their construction costs and So that's why we see the request for the 5 foot. They're actually initially anticipating building a 22-foot wide garage, and they cut that back half a foot, 21 and a half, in order to meet the 5 foot, and not have to build to the fire rating. So here's a little aerial noting again, the green would be the 7 foot required setback for the ordinance today, and they're just seeking basically to be 2 foot closer. Again, maintaining 5 feet, so they don't have to build a 1-arm firewall, but that's where it gets close. You do note there's an existing garage constructed within setback on the south side of that lot line, and the question came up to the planning commission is, does that come into play as far as the building code and the fire code for the code on this garage? And the answer is no. They're looked at on their own merits of meeting that 5 foot to their own lot line. This garage was an old garage that was actually legal non-conforming, obviously, and had been reconstructed under the legal non-conforming statute that allowed it to do that, and they built it right back where it had been, which is basically a couple feet from the lot line. So again, this garage is required to maintain their own 5 feet for fire purposes per building official Chad Lunder's review of the proposal. So no issues as far as that goes. And then just noted on here, just from the survey, it meets all other setbacks, just to point that out. And you'll note on the survey, if you looked at it, that their existing fence was well over on the other property line, or the other property, and then is short of their own lot line on the north side. So clearly the property hadn't been surveyed before that fence was put up. So it's an issue that two property owners probably need to work out at another time, but we're only reviewing the garage variance here tonight. Again, we had no public comment at the Planning Commission. However, the applicant did make a statement that she planned to pave her portion of the shared driveway. There's actually a gravel shared driveway there today. And then she noted that the neighbor noted that they would also very likely pave their portion of the driveway as well at the same time. Ultimately, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the variance based on the 6 findings in the staff report. And we'll go through some photos here. So you can see the shared driveway, basically the lot line goes right up through the middle of that driveway. So she's planning to pave her portion of the driveway. Under code, it's grandfathered in. They're not required to pave either portion of that driveway, but she's planning to do that at this point, which is a good idea. So hopefully the neighbors will follow suit and also pave their portion as well. So again, the gable end will be on this side of the garage. So you basically have what will appear to be a flat roof line with the slope coming towards the street and the other slope going back away from the street. So opposite of the roof line for the adjacent garage, if that makes any sense to you. A couple other views here just to show some of the homes in the vicinity. So pretty much commonplace to see attached 2-car garages in the neighborhood, particularly as you head north. And just wanted to point out, this is the older home actually. Would be the third lot to the north. There's an older home that had an attached garage added onto it. So it's essentially the same type of thing they're looking at doing here. So not just convenience, but also trying to fit the look of the neighborhood as well. And I think with that, I will leave this photo up for you for discussion and any questions you might have on the request.
Any comments, questions?
Looks nice.
I don't.
Make a motion that we approve it.
Okay.
Second.
I got a motion by Sean Ryan, second by Kay Wilcox to approve the variance. Any other comments or questions?
I just have a question. On a shared driveway, does the lot line run down the middle then?
You know, on this one, I don't think it runs it completely down the middle of the lot, just for the fact that I don't think they knew where the lot line was until the survey was done. It appears to be pretty close to the middle of that. Just based on that.
I'm looking into the future, and you get somebody that doesn't get along, and are we going to have
That
problems?
can happen. And I actually asked the applicant if she had a shared driveway agreement with the neighbor. They do not. I highly recommended that they do that, just in case she were to sell or the neighbor were to sell. They at least have an arrangement in place for, maintenance and other things, and just simply crossing over it by accident. If that happens, they may get along, but the future owners would not.
And there's no way to each of them have their separate driveway?
There actually would be the ability to do that here and put like a small median in the middle. Should they choose to do that, I think the cost is probably what they were looking at this point, just to keep it where it's at. But, yeah, they each have a curb cut up to 30 feet wide, but if they're separate, they have to have I don't have the curb cut diagram with, but there's a minimum spec for curb to be left in the middle, but I believe there is room to do that.
Is that something we can recommend, or the shared driveway is?
You know, we allow shared driveways, we actually encourage it. This is a minor collector road, so not required to share a driveway, but being a little higher classification road than a local, I'm not against it being that way, but I did recommend that they should probably get an agreement entered into. She bought it and there wasn't one, and the other owner, I don't know if they have any other history on it. So there's definitely
Is that a
nothing.
condition we can add, or we have no?
I wouldn't add it as a
Okay.
condition to this because I don't see the direct correlation to the variance at hand.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, I have a motion by Sean Ryan, second by Kay Wilcox. If there's no other questions or comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Passes 4-0. Mike, are you taking the next thing?
Yes, I will. This matter is one that you tabled, I believe, 2 meetings ago, that Patty so I was bringing forward. And what it is it's an update to the e-deposit on file agreement that we have formerly with the State Bank of New Prague, now to First Bank and Trust. And they were the entity requesting an update and bringing it current with them. The matter was reviewed by our city attorney. The bank made all the changes that our city attorney's office asked for. So the copy you have tonight contains all of those changes. Primarily is designed to allow the city and the utilities to deposit customer checks electronically right into our bank account is what this does. And we pretty much use this daily, and it really saves time of having to go make bank deposits. We can do right online. So everything's in order, and we recommend approval.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? If not, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the deposit agreement.
Second.
Got a second by Dave Brusick. No other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, passes 4-0. You're back at it, Ken.
So we've been working on this one for a while. Remember, we had actually scheduled on the agenda a few meetings back, and finally have it back in front of you here tonight. So this is the preliminary and final plat review of 2P acres. What you actually see in the overhead is what was initially proposed in the plat, was just 2-lot development to shift some lot lines between the property owners. The applicant, Elizabeth Dupe, is here tonight. If you should have any questions, along with their son, David. And we'll get into the summary report. So preliminary and final plat of these simple plats is not unusual. It's typically how we like to route these through. So as I noted initially, it was 2 lots and 4.3 acres, but was expanded to a plat that includes those same 2 lots, and in addition, 2 additional lots on a full 89.54 acres. Now, I'll get into the reason why that happened, and that's part of the reason for the delay in getting back to you for council final approval. But this land is obviously not within the city limits. The city does have extraterritorial subdivision review within 2 miles of the city limits, so that's why we review plats within this particular area. The Stewart County retains zoning and building permit authority. So we only review the subdivision regulations on this, so we have to work with the county back and forth to make sure that things are still buildable and meet setbacks for structures that exist on these lots, and that is met in this case with the proposed plat. As I know, it's basically to adjust some lot lines between the 2 properties. One of the issues that was being resolved as well as their septic system that had been through the middle of the lot lines, and the county is requiring that to be all on one property versus split down the middle. And then they have a septic system agreement between the 2. At the planning commission meeting on June 27th, that's how far back this goes, we had no comments received. And following the planning commission meetings where the delay came, so we had title work that is always required when a plat is done. And what the title work revealed was that the Tupy family, there's some trust property involved. And one thing that was found is that there was actually some transfer of trust land from the trust to David, who's in the audience here tonight, that should have been approved by the city to authorize that transfer of the property, and it didn't occur. So in order to correct that issue, city attorney is recommending that be added into the plat, so we get that memorialized through your review here tonight. And then the other portion of the remaining trust land remaining as well in the plat. So I added the two outlots that added over 80 acres to the initial plat. Those two outlots are not buildable, basically just taking care of that previous trust title transfer issue to get that wrapped up. So again, the main point of the plat here, you can see some of the older lot lines underneath the red lines here, what the proposed lots are, and the black lines are what the existing lot lines were at. So septic, correct me if I'm wrong, David, it's roughly in here.
Yep.
And you can see it kind of straddled the lot lines. So making sure that was all on proposed lot 1, agreement with proposed lot 2, who actually is where the applicant's property, where she is resided, is on lot 2, and they're preparing to sell that property. So that is a need to get the plat finally taken care of here and of record. So again, just a couple more line drawings of the proposed plat, and then you can see how the original 2 lots are kind of dwarfed by the 2 outlot properties that had to get brought in on our city attorney's recommendation to correct that past transfer of property, again, within the family, but needed to be memorialized, so this plat was the best way to take care of that and get that taken care of. So, a couple of the views here again. Braddock County are 29 outside the city limits, so rural extraterritorial plat. I think that'll leave that up. So the staff recommendation is approval of that preliminary and final plat with the 1 finding and then 6 conditions contained in the resolution, noting that final title work approval still has not been completed. There was some new title work that had to be ordered, but based on our attorney and the applicant's attorney, got everything in order, but we leave the condition in there that our attorney still has to review the final title work and before we'll sign off on it. But we believe that'll happen very quickly. So that's one of the big conditions left remaining on here, but we're very comfortable with that condition remaining. So with that, kind of made a simple plat a little confusing with the title work brought in. Unfortunately, it added a lot of extra time. The applicants have been very patient, so I appreciate that. But this should take care of it finally, and be able to, everybody to move forward.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, I guess I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Dave Bruzek, second by Kay Wilcox. If there's no other comments, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, passes 4-0. Congratulations. You finally can cross that off your to-do list. Okay, Mike, number 5.
I'm going to have Jim come up and handle this one.
Oh, okay.
Only because Ken doesn't want it.
It's always a pleasure, Jim, coming.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, we are here tonight with a request for a 1-day temporary liquor license by Isenbroy Brewery. They are looking to hold a social event, Oktoberfest, and they would like to erect a tent out in their parking lot area, have food available, and then fence in that tent area attached to the building, and they would access into their current building, which they've taken over the entire building now, into that north entrance, which would go into the tap room. And then they would have sales inside the tap room. And then the temporary license would be for the sales out under the tent for the celebration. Normally, a temporary liquor license is issued to a club, group, organization, nonprofit, but within that statute, for the temporary liquor license, it also includes breweries that are under 3,500 barrels, and micro distilleries also are able to, if they choose to host an event, the council has opportunity to allow a temporary license for that. In this case, that social event happens to be on his property. They did supply a certificate of insurance that extended out into their parking lot with the liquor liability. So statute gives you the authority to issue the temporary license.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion by Dave Brusick, second by Sean Ryan to approve the one-day temporary liquor license for Giesenbrawl. If there's no other comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, passes 4-0. Thank you. Set up some meetings.
Yeah, we have to adopt our preliminary 2019 preliminary property tax levy. We have to certify that to the two counties no later than September 30th. We're in the process of putting the final finishing touches on the preliminary draft of the 2019 budget. We're hoping, if all goes well, that we should have that completed possibly by the end of the week. And so as we take a look at it, if I had to recommend some days, whether we need all of them or not, the preliminary property tax levy might be a little bit challenging this year. As you remember, in establishing a property tax rate, in the process that we go through, is once you adopt this, you cannot increase it at a later date, you can only lower it. And we're going to have some new variables in this budget as it relates to the indoor aquatics facility and possibly the fitness center with the school district. The fire department have made a couple of unsuccessful runs at the federal government trying to get monies to replace, if you recall, their SCBA equipment. And so they're looking at a fairly expensive item there. And so obviously with normal personnel change costs, operating and maintenance cost items, and then depending on the final outcome of the capital equipment list, is we've got some variables there that, until we go through the budget review in detail in October and November, we kind of have to play with what that preliminary levy might be. So we're looking to ask you about some possible dates that we can meet to kind of show you what that picture is, and all of you've been through it multiple times, so you don't have to tell you what that process is like, other than it may be a little bit higher on the starting range to get started. We've also got the benefit of some fairly good growth in our tax base this year that will help possibly offset some of that as to how we arrive at the final calculations. But we'll have some work to do over the course of the budgeting process to ultimately get this refined to the point that we have it ready to go for the first meeting in December at our annual truth and taxation public hearing. So looking for dates that try to put the existing council meetings this month on the 4th and the 17th. As you can see at the bottom, I will be out of the office for a good share of the last week, so I need to try to make sure that I'm able to work with you and the finance staff and to get that preliminary levy adopted. So in planning, I don't know, I'm shooting to have things ready here by the 7th if at all possible. And so I'm wondering whether the possibilities of maybe the 12th and the 19th would be available for starting purposes. Amy's not with us this year. She was limited as to when she could start and whether we could start at 5:30 if everybody else's schedules can accommodate that. that would be your choice.
Yeah, I guess,
I mean, we could try to do it in one meeting, but I'm guessing that there might be enough discussion that you might want me to possibly take a look at something, and so we don't necessarily need to do that second meeting if we think we can get it done at the first meeting. I'm just trying to prepare for a couple shots at it.
what does the 12th look for everyone?
I'm good.
Okay.
You good? David?
No, I think I'm gonna let Rick take my place for this one. Need to break him in good.
It's done.
Unfortunately, you probably can't shirk that. You can just lose the game.
Yeah, I know I can.
So does 5:30 work for everyone?
Yeah, on the 12th.
On the 12th, and then maybe after that meeting, we can decide if we need to do again, another meeting rather than pre-scheduled.
I just have to, for a special meeting, I need 3 days' notice.
Yeah, and if we have to, we can go on the next week or something, but why
I
don't we?
think it's good to get it in our books. The 19th tentatively.
Sure, we can do that. Does the 19th work for everyone?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, let's tentatively put 5:30 on both of them, and then we can see how it goes. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. So, next on the agenda, we moved letter E up from the consent agenda to 6A, and Mike, if you were going to explain the reasoning?
Yeah, I just wanted to, in anticipation of a question, and maybe I'm ahead of that, is that trying to take a look at where do we have existing premises permits, and Mary Jo had this, and a number of these have been in place a long time, and so I wasn't able to get confirmation with the state gambling department until today, and so we've got a few changes if you want to write them in or pencil them in next to what I'm going to give you. The Chamber of Commerce is at the corner bar as well as the New Prague Golf Course. And we do that during bingo season is what happens there. New Prague Community Sportsman's Club is at Flipside Pub and Grill as well as Whiskey Business. New Prague Fire Relief is at City Club and Pioneer. New Prague Hockey is currently at Carboni's Pizza and Sports Bar and Fishtail, but not at Whiskey Business. And then the last one you have to add is the Knights of Columbus. I hadn't gotten the verification from them, but I did from the state, and they have theirs at the KC Hall. And then the request that has come through the New Prague Hockey Association is that they have filled out the premises permit application to now have a premises, and they have a lease permit with Checkers Sports Bar to have as the, let's see, where's it? The second page under the LG 215 is that their activity that they say will be conducted will be pull tabs, bar bingo, and tip boards is what they filled out. 214 is the premises permit, and then the 215 is the lease with bar. And so they have that approved with the UNOVA.
Okay.
So from our standpoint, everything's in order, ready to go to apply to the state.
Okay, anyone have any questions or concerns?
So your action will be approval of the resolution on the back page of the memo.
I just want to say one thing, because the Hockey Association had contacted me, and it was a late minute to squeeze it in here. And I just had the previous meeting for the St. Wentz School. I just appreciate Barb and Mike and want to acknowledge the little extra work and hard work that they put in to get that done. So, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, if not, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Kay, second by you, David?
No, Sean.
Sean? Second by Sean Ryan.
Your motion or Kay?
Kay's. Kay moved and John second. Any other comments? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. Now we're at the fun part, consent agenda. Anyone have any questions, issues? And any items in the consent agenda? We did take the letter E out of there, but besides that.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
I got a motion by Sean Ryan, second by Kay Wilcox to approve the consent agenda items. If there are no other comments or questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay. We're at miscellaneous already. Patrick?
Nothing.
Nothing? Are you still doing the Renaissance Festival? Yep. Okay.
Volunteer at the info booth, so need some help, come there.
Okay, Mitch?
Nope.
Mitch is good. Rick, do you have any comments, anything you want to
No,
make?
I don't, thank you for it.
Okay. James?
Just, Mike wanted me to share, approximately 2 weeks ago, we did tobacco compliance checks throughout the community, and we did have 2 that did make sales to underage individuals. One was Colburn's Liquor Store, and the other was the tobacco shop on Chalupski. So those reports were forwarded to Mike, and he will look at doing an administrative charge to the seller, which I think our ordinance indicates a $50 fine for them, and then a $200 administrative fine for the license holder. And we'll continue to keep up, or try and keep up on tobacco compliance and run them through again.
Jim, didn't Coburn's have a issue last year? Maybe at liquor, I don't know.
It was liquor, yes. Yeah, they didn't have it with tobacco. We had no repeat offenders anyways.
Okay.
So this is the first. I know our alcohol ordinance has a 3-year look back, but this is the first offense for everybody in the tobacco. So, otherwise, we continue to plan for Dozinki and look forward to that weekend coming up quick here.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Ken?
I do not have anything.
Michael?
Just a couple updates on the personnel front. We had an employee in the wastewater department submit his resignation. John
Grandma?
Yeah, John Granlund, excuse me. He is leaving to take a position with the Met Council wastewater system as a manager in one of their areas. John had a Class A license, and he's been with us March, I think it was 3 years, so almost 3.5 years. And then Bruce got notified last week that he's losing one of our electrical linemen that was from Kenyon, wasn't it? Kenyon, that's been driving back and forth, and he has taken a position with the city of Owatonna. It wasn't just economics, and it wasn't a bad workplace or anything, but he doesn't have to drive as much, the pay increase, and probably a little bit better family time and having to drive back and forth. So we've had those on the personnel side, working with the school and trying to put together the final draft of the joint powers agreement with the hopes that that can go to the city school JPA committee next Tuesday, with the idea that it would come to the council on the
17th.
17th. That's right, I'm comparing to Tuesday and Monday.
All right.
The 17th, and then go to the school board on the 24th is the hope to be able to finish up that process. I'll let you recap on the baseball, just because you were there and put in a huge amount of time from a community standpoint, so I'll let you give the good news on that.
No, go ahead, Mike. You can take it. You worked harder on it than I did.
there hopefully will be afterlife after baseball, that I think from all of our community volunteers, the tri-chairs, Mike Stika, Jerry Walerius, and Jerry Plombeck, and all of the committee chairs that they had, whether that was parking, whether that was food services, whether that was the ticketing, whether it was the pass gate, whether it was the announcing and the record keeping up in the booth, to the garbage pickup, all of their community volunteers performed very admirably. The biggest highlight we were informed is the combined attendance from Shakopee, Jordan, and New Prague. Paid attendance was slightly in excess of 17,000 ticketed attendees, and you have to go back to 1960 to have attendance of the level that we had. So, you know, you're talking 58 years was the last time somebody had attendance up at this level. The state board, the mayor was very interactive and kind to them, and is welcoming them to the community and finding their way around the community. But they spoke very highly of the work that the community, the city, the volunteer workers, everything basically went off without a hitch. And I think it really brought smiles to the faces of the players, our visitors from all the other different teams that played here, umpires. There was no sector of the baseball tournament that received really any kind of negative word over these three events. We hosted 29 baseball games over 3 weekends. I think we found we baseballed out most of the people that had anything to do with it. And so all of the planning work that started in the fall of 2014, the council's decision in March of 2015 to move forward based on the financial plan that we laid out. When they settle up on all of their final accounting for beer sales and food sales and advertising and everything else, and they get it divided out, there will likely be a check presentation to the council for the share that they had committed out of this tournament, out of the tournament proceeds that would go back to the stadium and the baseball park renovation. We've completed the receipt of almost all of the major donor contributions that we had expected and relied on in our financing. The latest one came in today. So on all fronts, the community really shined in the baseball community and the facilities and the tournament setting and everything was very well appreciated by all. So hopefully there's a requirement, or generally they don't award you another tournament for at least 5 years. I think it'll take us that long for the volunteers to recoup from all of the work that they did. And, it was very trying and challenging in parking on various nights throughout the 3 weekends that the park room ballroom had wedding activity on Saturday nights. I think all 3 Saturdays of the tournament. This last one, they bussed people in from the school, as I understand, because it was such a rather large event. And golf course, I think the first time was the member tournament. I think that Saturday, Sunday club tournament. And so we were very challenged. The vacant property that we have adjacent to the former National Guard Reserve Center, we were able to put upwards of almost 260 cars parked on that vacant lot, and so that took a lot away from the intrusion of vehicles into all the neighborhoods as we had anticipated. And there were at least 3 or 4 times that we maxed out that parking lot, and basically they had to turn people away and put them on the streets, Lexington and over on 10th and down towards the golf course facilities to the south. And so the coordination and use of the golf clubhouse, for we had a cash machine there that people could use. I know a number of people went over there for beverages and food to eat. The umpires went there to dress and to take showers. The swimming pool was used for the restrooms. With the rain event we had last night for about 90 minutes in the championship game, we basically put people everywhere we had tent cover or in any of those facilities during the 90-minute rain delay that we had. But it, quite frankly, couldn't have turned out any better than what it did without any major hitches, issues, or problems. And the planning for the facility side of it worked out tremendously. Great compliments on the baseball field from many people. Mayor, I think you said you had one from somebody from Chanhassen that said it was the best field that they played on in a long time. And so the rework that everybody did and the attention to details and the construction that we did hopefully will enable the community to move forward for many years and have a really nice baseball facility.
Thank you. Anything else? Barb?
No.
Sean?
No.
David?
Just a question for either you or Mike. How many games were played at New Prague, Jordan, and Shakopee, do you know?
I think it was 29 at New Prague, 29 at Shakopee, and
I
then...
think 11 at
Yeah.
Jordan.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
And so we, first weekend was 8, then it ramped up to 10, and then this last weekend, because of the championship game yesterday, it went to 11 games. So it made for some interesting times that, for all the volunteers that worked the event.
Anything else? Okay.
Somebody contacted me, and I think they've contacted Dave before about the rental license, and I did talk to Mike. And you told me that Ken was working on that, is that correct?
Yeah, we would like to do a workshop at some point with you. This fall, we got a little busy in the summer with the projects we have going on, so yeah, basically at some point, we'd like to have a workshop to get that kicked off, I guess is probably the best way to do that, outside of a council meeting, just so we can sit down around a table and talk about the different aspects. There's some portions that police department will have input on. There's a crime-free housing component we'd like to talk about with you and go over the details of that. And then just generally how the inspection program could work, what are some fees that could be talked about. But, you know, at this point, we still get calls, you know, every week or so from tenants that live in housing that they feel, you know, have issues with smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, that type of thing. So it is very important. We have over 550 rental units in town. But it's going to take, you know, a little time to get through this. We initially were trying to get it done in spring, and then summer came, and it's just tough to get back to it. So I think through the fall here, it would be good to have some meetings and get that going again.
Well, I think there will be pushback from the owners. It
Definitely.
was the last time when we just did what is it, a license or a
Registration. Yep.
But, you know, maybe it's 80-20%, but the 20% that don't follow the rules are just so evident. And there's one house that's a block from us that has been that way for, I bet, 35, 40 years, and it's just, has the trouble with living in a nice city. Some cities have little clusters of this, dilapidated houses, and we don't have that. So when you see one, it's just terrible. So I hope, so it's in process, I can tell that.
Yeah, we're basically basing from Scott Riggs, our city attorney, put together an ordinance for the city of Faribault, and that's kind of the basis of what we will be bringing to you.
Okay.
But yeah, certainly we recognize that the landlords will have pushback. That's where fees come in, obviously, and then depending on the condition of their homes and things that may need to be corrected, if you've got a good rental property in good shape, you probably have very little to worry about. It's the properties that don't have smoke, don't have CO, and don't have proper egress windows that are going to have expenses on top of that. To basically, it's to keep the people that live there safe. And
Correct, okay, so the people sign up for it, they pay a fee, and then does our building inspector go in and do it?
correct, our building inspector or building official, in this case, we would, and we'll talk about this, but have a 2 or 3 year cycle to do all 550 units every 2 or 3 years.
Okay, sounds good.
So, Yeah, and we would intend to do those over our typically slower months in, fall through spring, when we don't have, new homes typically getting constructed left and right. So it's a good way to balance out the workload, add revenue, and then protect the residents that live in these units. So, but we know the landlords will have questions and concerns, but
I think it's time.
we've got research on cities in the area that have done this and kind of how they're working on it. And Kay, you weren't on the council when we kind of got into this, but we have a mentorship agreement with the city of Belle Plaine, and we sent our building official over there, and they paid for his time. And one of the takeaways and benefits we got from that was their new building official in Belle Plaine worked for the city of Hutchinson and did inspections and implementation on their rental housing ordinance. So we've been getting that information and benefit, whether it be checklists that could be used in different things like that. So it's just taken some time to go through that and get that done.
I'll tell her it's still in process.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, on September 16th, the log cabin will be featured in the Minnesota section in the Trip. Dennis Dvorak contacted the reporter, and I said, oh, so do you come down? No, the guy's in Colorado. So somehow Dennis sent him pictures, but it will be a nice feature, so that's nice for them, right?
Okay, good. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, Ken, what is going on with the land on Lexington, corner of Lexington and County Road 37?
Yep, so Planning Commission held a public hearing for the preliminary and final plat of that property at the August 22nd meeting. That will be coming forward to the council at some point here, but a number of the conditions, and Kay, add if you want to add as we go through here, there's a number of conditions that he had to meet in order to even get to you guys. One was he had to take a sign down that was kind of falsely advertising what he was proposing to plat, which is just one big lot. So that was one issue that he already did take care of.
We didn't take it down.
He just turned
Turn
it
it
around.
around. That's what I
It's
said.
not displayed fully, so at least he did that immediately, so I give him credit for that, but it's got to come down fully. Get some property line markers put up adjacent to Mr. Gary Pickle that lives on the west side of the property, and then we've got to have our wetland guy from SCH help identify the boundary, a minimum buffer, and then title work needs to be completed by the city attorney before it comes back to council. And then before we would sign the plat, one of the conditions you'll see as it comes forward is to get that seeded and back into a maintainable condition before we sign anything. So I don't know if that'll happen by the next meeting in September or not, but those are the corrections that were required to be made, and until those are done, it will not come in front of the council. But
So it doesn't have to go back to the planning and
it
zoning?
does not have to go
Okay.
back to planning and zoning. There are things that he can take care of if he puts some effort into it. I know we had a lot of questions at the planning commission meeting of the, I think there's 8 different commenters that came up at that, and you can see the minutes in the packet here. But, good concerns, and that led to some conditions to be added to the discussion, which is why you're not seeing it here tonight, basically. So.
Okay. The only thing I just want to, go ahead, Dave.
Ken, has he come forth with any kind of a diagram or pictures or anything of what he's planning on doing with it?
No, because again, there had been one platted lot on the corner. He's basically taking and platting that lot with additional land he had purchased from Tom Topka to create a larger buildable lot. He intends to sell the property is what we've been told, and as far as platting is concerned, we don't require, schematics, house plans or anything like that. Now, should he choose to develop this further, then yes, that would definitely be required. And I don't believe that he's seeking to do that. It's on the market currently as unplatted land for nearly $180,000. So just a one lot plat at this point, and he's done everything that he needs to do to this point to get it to planning commission. There's just some other things he has to do to bring it in front of the council, and there's a lot of history that was brought up with the Sur County, and some other history that was not true with another neighboring community, but We will bring factual information to you to act on its own merits is really what we need to do, rather than act on hearsay and things that have happened with other entities. So we will watch it closely.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the only thing I want to just kind of bounce off Mike there with the state amateur tournament, no pun intended, but I think the city of New Prague did come to the plate hosting that event. A lot of positive comments have really come out of it. So it was good, I think, for the city of New Prague. It probably didn't add as much economic boom to the downtown as people would thought it at first, but I think the visibility that New Prague got from the state tournament is going to bode well for other events, maybe at the ball field, but also, people really thought New Prague had that little small town charm that I feel is unique to New Prague, that we can continue to grow but keep that small town charm. So that's all I have. Anything else?
Chuck, we did have Channel 9 doing some filming. As far as some of you might have seen or heard that they've been showcasing various ballparks around the state on the Channel 9 News. They did ours, but it won't show until sometime next summer.
Right.
They're not showing that for the season.
Yeah, hometown fields or something, or hometown ball, they call it. Okay, and there's nothing else, so I guess I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
I got a motion by Dave Brusick, second by Sean Ryan to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, we're out of here. Thank you, everyone.